Pretend with me for a minute that you're a marketer and have to come up with a concept for an infamous activist group for a video game targeted squarely at children. Does that final idea look anything like this?
Well, to somebody, it did. This is Kitten Squad, Peter's very own roguelite, directed by Luke Bernard.
Now, of course, being that this is a game by and for an activist cause, it is incredibly proud of itself and even came pre-packaged with awkward celebrity endorsements.
For a free game, it's educational about an important issue, that's great. I had a fun time fighting the sheep puncher.
And like I said previously, they even landed experimental game designer Luke Bernard, best known for Eternity's Child and Plague Road. Gee, a self-described artist with a non-meat diet, huh? I wonder if his favourite food just so happens to be pea soup.
The first thing you may notice is that this game is incredibly cheap looking. The title menu is rather 2005-ish Newground Flash game, and on the options screen you can clearly see the background of the PSD file just sort of hovering there.
You'd think with a donation efficiency rate of 17 cents to the dollar, they'd have given this game a bit more of a budget.
Well, I'm clearly playing alone today, so I'm going to select one player and... what do I do? It just sort of drops you in. There's these three characters around. A crow, whose job it is to read off facts from Peter's website on animal welfare, a pug who sets bounties, and finally, this friendly looking elk. Let's chat to him. I'm sure that won't be mentally Oh, Jesus Christ! Okay, whoa, lad. That there is a bit of a disconnect. Look at this happy, cheery sprite versus the up-close portrait.
Did he spend too long volunteering at the PETA shelter before this? I can only imagine how heavy those trash bags get.
Mr. Elk gives us our first mission, to go save Olivia the Orca from the sea life park in which, the game claims, her tank mate committed suicide and she was forcibly... Wait, what? Is this a kid's game or an animal-focused chapter of Berserk?
I appreciate that so far in my commentary, I have been a bit of a... how do I put this? A snarky turd. But the one thing this game just doesn't understand is subtlety. Many levels have cutscenes like this, which make tons of unsubstantiated claims about animal welfare, many of which are quite easily debunked with a quick Google. But of course, this game isn't aimed at adults like you or me with a rational thought process. No, it's aimed at kids who have a tendency to take things at, well, face value because, well, they're kids. And that last scene we just saw is 10,000% not appropriate for children.
Seriously, imagine being a kid getting this free game because it has kittens in the name, and instead getting a lecture on orcas being forcibly bred. And then the game goes back to being cutesy and cuddly like nothing just happened. What? Also, again, what am I supposed to do? I accepted the quest, so why isn't it starting?
I'm more lost than that woman in Parksley, Virginia on October 24th, 2014.
Okay, so I worked it out. You go down and the level begins. It's at this point you fumble with the controls and realise, with no basic tutorial to speak of, that this is a twin stick shooter that lets you shoot in only 4 directions. Oh wait, no, you can actually shoot on a diagonal, it's just that the player cat only has animations facing in the 4 basic directions.
$56 million taken in as donations in the 2018 fiscal year, but they couldn't take a few dollars away from their vegan starter kit program to pay for a few more sprites?
The enemy sprites aren't much better. They have some limited animation, but it's clearly just basic movements done in post instead of something on the level of Cuphead's hand-drawn frames. Speaking of basic, the level boils down to clearing rectangular rooms that occasionally have objects in them and shooting everything in sight with a variety of weapons. Depending on what stage you're on, the environment will switch it up, however the overall design and gameplay remains the same. The weapons are a mixed bag. Some are incredibly useless, such as the tomato shooter, which, for some reason, won't fire if you're stood against a wall. And then some of them are beyond overpowered, like the rocket launcher. The problem is that you're stuck with whatever weapon you just picked up, and you can only carry one at a time. And with the amount of nonsense that goes on at once, accidentally picking up a worthless weapon happens far too frequently.
That said, in a court of law, you could probably argue that the tomato gun is worth about, I don't know, $500, give or take?
After shooting out the glass holding Olivia in her pen, the level ends and it's off to liberate sheep from the shearing shed. And again, it's got the same weirdly juxtapositioned art style and serious claims from the first stage.
Seriously, some of these are as bold as claiming there's a link between autism and dairy products.
I'll spare the extensive details this time, since the gameplay is pretty much identical, but the goal is slightly different. This time, there are several different sheep in cages, and your goal is to free them all. With maximum firepower, of course. Also, for a game that is very clearly anti-wool, why does one of the weapons shoot balls of yarn? By this game's logic, every time I pull the trigger, I'm doing just as much harm as I am good.
Holy mixed messages, Batman!
Okay, jokes aside, at this point, the game is getting incredibly tedious, so I'll do 2 more levels. And in one of the few things that this game does well, it lets you pick any stage you want off the bat and play them in any order.
Which does make my life a ton easier as the reviewer. You just gotta love the ability to cherry pick whatever it is I'm going to show my audience.
The next one, which hilariously starts with the same cutscene as the last one, ends with a boss, the legendary Sheep Puncher. Ironically, the level leading up to him is 10 times the pain in the butt than he is due to rooms in which whatever it is I'm shooting at just piling on me and killing me in seconds due to this game having a lack of a post-hit invincibility. I know, I've gone on about the lack of quality here, but it especially shows in this level. The gigantic boss doesn't even get an introduction, he's got no special music, and he uses the same basic AI as every other enemy.
As promised, 1 more level. And this time we're off to the circus, which I believe is currently visiting Norfolk.
This time, we're saving an elephant, and of course we're treated to a cutscene full of pre-2015 factoids. The level itself is more of the same bland nonsense that's gotten us here thus far, but there are 2 things of note. Firstly, this circus clown poster, this is,
Now, I'm not saying that there is Emmett Miller, but it could be. And if it was, that would be, I don't know, putting it delicately, absolutely deplorable?
Secondly, the elephant that you free is a little bit off. In the cutscene, it's shown as a somewhat realistic looking creature, yet here it looks like a dopey cartoon baby that slipped on a banana peel. Why? The Orca in the first level held up the same realistic take from the cutscene. Why is the 4-legged mammal given the Muppet Babies treatment?
You're all gonna hate me for this next one. Alexa, hey Google, hey Siri, what is anthropomorphism?
Okay, that's enough shtick. This title fails on all accounts. As an education tool, since it's clearly not age appropriate for kids, as a game, due to how bland and boring the gameplay is, and as a mouthpiece for Peter since, Well, a quick Google finds that nearly all of the claims it makes are very easily debunked. Hilariously, it even fails to push its in-game purchases, since it gives you so much blooming currency that you'll be able to get whatever it is you want within about 20 minutes of replaying levels.
Not that I would advocate for anybody to spend actual money on this game. That money would be better donated to your local no-kill shelter or society. As for me, what am I going to do next? I don't know yet. But I think it involves caring for one of my pets. Because I am an abysmal human being. Good night!